What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media. Welcome to another special episode of Path to a Million podcast. This has been a big one for people. Are you allowed to do a disaster loan and a Paycheck Protection Program loan? This is a little bit, it's a little bit vague. I want to read the exact language for you so that you can, decide what exactly it means for you. What I've been saying the last few days about it, that I believe you can do both, but not for the same categories. Like, you can't get a loan for paying your payroll through the disaster loan and then also get the PPP loan to pay your payroll. So I think they just don't want you double dipping for the same purposes. It would have to be for non-covered categories. That's the way that I'm interpreting it, but I'm going to read you the language here. So these are the borrower requirements. Certification. An eligible recipient applying for a covered loan, the PPP loan, shall make a good faith certification that one, that the uncertainty of current economic conditions makes necessary the loan request to support the ongoing operations of the eligible recipient. So there's nothing about credit. There's nothing about how you can pay it back. There's nothing about, you're at 100% or 50% or 0% of your business. It's basically just that the uncertainty of the economic conditions are making the loan necessary according to you. Number two, acknowledging that funds will be used to retain workers and maintain payroll or make mortgage payments, lease payments, and utility payments. So those are all the covered categories we've talked about a lot. Number three, that the eligible recipient does not have an application pending for a loan under this subsection for the same purpose and duplicative of amounts applied for or received under a covered loan. So this is the part that I think is, so I'm going to read that again. The eligible recipient does not have an application pending for a loan under this subsection for the same purpose and duplicative of amounts applied for or received under a covered loan. So the way that I am interpreting, I mean, you're going to find out when you go and apply. That's why I would, if you have not applied for the disaster loan yet, I would probably wait to find out because the PPP plan is going to be a better deal for you in the next 8 weeks for the short term to be able to pay your payroll. For most chiropractors, that's the vast majority of their expense. Like, most of them, it's probably about 50% or more. The rest are things that I think are less fixed. So for us, I think the Paycheck Protection Program is going to be the best bet because A, it's going to cover your biggest expense, and B, it's going to be forgiven if you use it for payroll. The disaster loan is a loan. You're going to have to repay it, and it can be used for any types of services. So what I would not want to do is I would not want to risk not being able to get the PPP loan by getting the disaster loan. Now, I don't know if it's on this next section I'm about to talk about, but it does say that if you already got funds, if you already applied for the disaster loan, I think it was between January 15th maybe or January 30th and the time this bill passed, which was Friday, I believe. So that'd be the 27th of March. So if you applied for it in between that time, or you got funds through the disaster loan, that you'll be able to refinance it through this PPP loan. And if you used, I believe if you used any of that money for payroll after February 15th, that you would be able to get that forgiven. So this is a little bit of the complicated parts, and I think they're going to have to give more direction on this. I think this is a big question. This one and what to do with laid off people are probably the two biggest, probably the three biggest are, what do I do if I don't give myself a paycheck? I talked about that on the last video. This is a big question of, can I get the disaster loan and the PPP loan? And then three is, what do I do with people that I've already laid off? So I'll get to that one in a little bit. But for this right now, if I had to guess, I'd be like 68% sure that you can get both if you only use the disaster loan funds for things that cannot be covered by the PPP loan. But again, I would just wait to talk to your banker next week and hopefully they'll have, and I'm going to keep digging. I mean, this is what the bill says. I'm going to try to keep digging from other smart people that have given their opinions on it. But from everything I've heard so far, other smart people think the same thing I do, that it will not preclude you from being able to get the disaster loan. Number 4, during the period beginning on February 15th, 2020 and ending on December 31st, 2020, that the eligible recipient has not received amounts under this subsection for the same purpose and duplicative of amounts applied for or received under a covered loan. So this is basically saying that from February 15th to December 31st of this year, so going forward. So this is the part that I want you guys to be aware of, is it's basically the same language, and it's saying that you're not eligible if you've received amounts under this subsection, which I believe means the disaster loan, for the same purpose and duplicative of amounts under this and duplicative amounts applied for or received under a covered loan. So this is why you just gotta get very clear with your banker on what the rules are with this PPP loan. Again, I think you'll be able to get both this and the disaster loan, but you're gonna have to talk to them first. They should be getting more clear direction. I talked to my banker and the SBA specialist at the bank, and they think they'll get more information on Monday. They'll be able to get me something by Wednesday, but I'm gonna try to push them. I might bring like the SBA person who actually got the direction, or who's gonna be getting the direction from the SBA. I'm hoping I can get them on tomorrow. We've been friends for a long time. So, okay, so I think that's all of the language under that. This and the unemployment question are tricky. They are, it's hard to say what the perfect answer is right now. And I'm hoping that this is one of the things that they give a little bit more, and maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I'm just not understanding it correctly. But the way I'm reading it is that it's very specific about for the same purpose. They've got certain covered categories for this PPP loan. And I think what they're trying to do is keeping people from taking out the PPP loan to cover their payroll, and then also taking out disaster loan to cover their payroll. So, but again, that's what it says. Kind of use your best judgment on that. And I'll see you guys on the next one.